This is a video of someone purposely trying to get caught cheating in an official cubing competition. Not because he wanted to get faster results, but because he wanted to prove a point. The WCA needs to change its rules. Because 3 months earlier, the catalyst that started this entire thing began. You see, this is Yihang Wang, getting by far the fastest 2x2 solves of all time. These solves were so fast, they were quite literally being called the event killer. But right now, he knows something. Something that would fundamentally change the entire cubing community. People started to realize what was happening. This is the insane story of how one kid single-handedly found the biggest hidden loophole in the WCA, resulting in tons of outrage, controversy, and ultimately forcing the entire sport to change its rules. Yihang Wang is the best 3x3 solver we've seen in a long time. A prodigy who's broken barrier after barrier, dozens of records, but in 2024, he decided to do something different. What if I start practicing 2x2? Yeah. Now, he was suddenly one of the best 2x2 solvers of all time. That doesn't make sense though, like, something had to be off with his improvement. He was getting too good, too fast. There had to be some secret to his improvement that no one else had found. Okay, in order to understand this story, let me tell you about a rule nobody thought could be abused. Take a look at this WCA statement, saying basically that you can't judge a solve after the fact by slowing it down or using frame-by-frame analysis, because it was apparently unfair to the competitor. Now, this is complicated because you can use video evidence to disallow a solve, but only if you can clearly see it without slowing down the video. This rule was written to protect competitors, but it accidentally ended up protecting something else. To put this in perspective, world-class 2x2 solvers average low 1 seconds. Yihang just averaged 0.78. Somehow, this kid just threw down these insanely fast solves. These solves were so insanely ahead of their time that it doesn't make sense. So good, in fact, that when people started seeing these solves for the first time, they were very suspicious, to say the least. People kept rewatching the footage, and something about it felt strange. Although, no one could explain why. These solves were completely normal looking to the naked eye though, like, these had to be legit. When a solve is done fast enough, there's no way to tell what happened in real time. You literally have to analyze it frame by frame in order to see what went wrong. But you shouldn't have to do that when you're just trying to figure out how you are losing time on your solves. And that's exactly why I've partnered with a CubeMe. CubeMe is the cube timer app used by over 2,000 people with over 640,000 solves logged. And honestly, the reason I use it isn't just because it looks so good. It's because it actually tells you what's happening in your solves. Because unlike most smart timers, this works with literally any smart cube. And it's so easy to use. You just do solves and it tells you everything. Your exact solution, your recognition time, your execution time, every F2L case you did. And here's the part that got me. I realized that I was a full second slower on this OLL and I genuinely had no idea. Guess I better start training it. And if you want to literally make money for solving, you can enter tournaments to win hundreds of dollars worth of prizes. So go sign up for free because there's literally no reason not to. Links in the description. And I've partnered with them to give you guys an extra special discount. So if you want the premium version, use code OCCubing to get 20% off at checkout. Because no one wants to be that guy who pays full price. That's code OCCubing for 20% off. Trust me, you won't regret it. These frame-by-frame rules literally made Yihang's world record impossible to punish, according to the statement. But something had to be off with these solves. Yihang got too good, too fast. And as weeks went on without a response from the WCA, every top 2x2 solver started to realize something. It's basically impossible to beat this 2x2 world record.
2x2 is officially over. Alright guys, it's time to pack our bag and go home because I'm giving up, guys.
The Armageddon of 2x2.
Hassan Kanani is a world-class 2x2 solver, having a 1.34 2x2 average going into this competition. But today, he achieved a 0.94 official average. A drop like that doesn't just happen. You don't just randomly shave off that much time from a world-class PR. Hassan knew this. The community knew this, but Hassan didn't want to get a fast average. He wanted to force the WCA to do something about the 0.78. Hassan used the exact same exploit to prove a point. The WCA's rulebook is completely broken. Hassan literally dropped fake, impossible times right in front of their faces. He wasn't trying to cheat, he was trying to get caught. And under their own rules, the WCA couldn't do a single thing to stop him. Real quick guys, so I've got a confession to make. So last video, I said that my goal for the end of the year was 3,000 subscribers. And so now we're gonna do 5,000 subscribers instead. So by the end of this year, I have to get to 5,000 subs or else. So please subscribe down below so I can get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And maybe if we hit that, I'll say 100,000. Who knows? Alright, sorry, let's get back to the video. The only reason Hassan got caught is because someone uploaded a recording of a recording of the fourth solve. And since it was so obviously cheating, they had to DNF it. But if that person hadn't uploaded that solve, it still would have counted. This invisible exploit was so OP that anyone could just casually drop a sub 1 average without consequence. But someone had to do something about this. It was clearly cheating, right? Like, if more people started doing this, yes, this would take time, but surely someone had to do something. You would think the WCA would step in, patch the blind spot, and ban the 0.78. But for months, those solves just sat there, untouched. The community thought the problem was the rule. It wasn't. The problem was who was allowed to decide what the rules meant. Because the people who write the rules and the people who govern the WCA are not the same people. The WCA board is the group of people who govern the WCA. They run the WCA and they have the final say in things. The WRC is the regulations committee. They're the ones who write the rules, interpret the rules, and handle penalties. And this is where things started getting messy. On September 27th, on the WCA forums, the WRC made a post. Finally, after months of waiting, a post appears. This is the official statement by the WRC. The WRC announced they would finally be reviewing solves frame by frame. They even listed exact situations in which it can be used. This is amazing. The entire thing the community has been begging for months is finally happening. Yihang's 0.78 will finally be Wait, what? And will only apply to future attempts. What is this? Yang is clearly cheating. He was clearly breaking multiple regulations that have been there for decades. How in the world was he able to get away with this? This literally sets the precedent that if you find a loophole in the regulations and then cheat while using that, you won't be penalized for it, but everyone else will. Yes, this is the exception to the rule for frame-by-frame analysis, but that rule was kind of too strict anyways. This is literally the event killer. How is it possible that the WCA let this slide?
Because you're basically saying, for this one solve that's the world record, we can allow cheating, but you can't cheat in the future. It basically makes the world record impossible to break without cheating.
The question is the WCA going to have the confidence, the maturity, and the honor to say, we made a mistake?
How can we dig ourselves out of, you can call it the worst chapter in WCA history if you want.
These solves were now invincible. Maybe the last 2x2 world record solves ever. Now, the WCA board and the WRC are both against this exploit, but that's not the whole story. You see, in a leaked private email between the WRC and the board before the official post, the WRC unanimously voted to penalize and disqualify the 0.78. They argued that it made no sense to uphold a world record that clearly violated the WCA regulations. They were fully ready to disqualify the world record. and would've, but the board had other plans, completely overruling the WRC using their absolute power to make the world record stand. But why would they do this? Well, they argued that since it was technically a new rule, this wasn't fair to Yiheng to ban his attempts when it technically wasn't specified in the rules. Now, this did really make the community ask if this was favoritism to Yiheng. They literally overruled the WRC to keep his world record. Although the board denied any favoritism to Yiheng and no contact with him, this also brings into question if the 5 board members were abusing their power, ignoring regulations, and acting without accountability, leading to people saying that the board should be overthrown entirely. And then something happened that has never happened in the history of the WCA. Not just complaining, not just arguing on forums, they started a legal process to remove every single member of the WCA board from power. Under the WCA bylaws, it states that if 5% of voting members signed a petition, it would legally force a special meeting, where the community could vote on whether each of the 5 board members should keep their job. They called this petition the Magna Carta, which, if you don't know, was a document forced upon King John to limit his power and protect the people's rights. The WCA either had to penalize the .78 or risk losing their jobs. The people didn't do this though because they wanted to remove the board. They did this because they wanted to scare them into accountability. This story has turned into not just a controversy, but a full-on bureaucratic civil war. The board versus the WRC, and maybe even the board versus the community. This was insane. No one thought it would go this far. There were also tons of petitions getting thousands of votes and comments everywhere, all saying the exact same thing. Ban the .78. And through all of this, these 5 solves sat there, untouched. No matter how many petitions were signed, no matter how angry people were, no matter how much the community wanted it gone, this never changed. Some of us thought these solves were destined to stay. This loophole never banned, the WCA never to be fixed. This is the final statement by the WCA. This was the moment everyone was waiting for months. The WCA board decided to return the decision on the .78 average to the WRC. They gave the power back. The WRC reviewed the solves frame by frame, exactly how the community wanted. This little thing is what every official solve depends on. This little thing is why you're still watching this video. This little thing is what started this whole mess in the first place. And this little thing is the exact blind spot the WCA accidentally protected. This timer only starts when you lift your hands up, and it only stops when you put your hands back down. But what if you don't lift them? What if instead you do something quicker? Slide them. Alright guys, take a look at this. Look here, watch his hands in slow motion. Did you catch it? That is what people started calling sliding, where you slide your hands and pick up the cube before the timer actually starts, saving you around 0.15 seconds per solve, which on 2x2 is a huge difference. This technically does break regulation, but if you do it fast and well enough, You literally can't tell in real time, but frame by frame, it was undeniable. 0.78 plus 4 seconds. 0.7 plus 2. 0.97 plus 2. 0.81 plus 4. And even a completely separate average with a 0.49 single became a 4.49 single. The unbeatable world record average. Isn't it crazy that these 5 solves that started before the timer did would end up changing the sport this much? Tons of drama, votes to overthrow the board entirely, and all of this because of a supposed loophole in the WCA. At the beginning of this video, I called Yihang's 0.78 the event killer. But the real event killer wasn't one of those solves, it was the blind spot in the rules that almost took down the entire governing board. At least now that they can penalize the 0.78, everything can go back to normal like it was. Finally, the entire community is happy. They got what they wanted, right? Everyone is cheering and happy. Justice has finally been served. But what about...
I think, in my opinion, these slides are the worst we've ever seen. He got almost half a second from these slides. Is it time that he's given at least a little ban?
They're like having like real, actual beef with each other. We're getting to the point where it's getting kind of ugly.
How do we stop sliding?
It's right in front of our faces. It's been obvious. You've been saying it for months, maybe even years. We've been saying it.